Bramborough back with some Grand Tactician Civil War, continuing our CSA campaign in 1.06, which is the live version of the game, not beta. I think yesterday's episode I said 106 beta out of habit. It's not beta, it's live. Okay, we are in May 1862. In the last episode, fought a pretty large battle here in Northern Virginia. The Army of Northern Virginia under Robert E. Lee was successful there in repulsing McClellan and McDowell, the Mack twins. And we're continuing the campaign. I have advanced time a little bit just to kind of get a few things done off camera. Nothing of importance, really, in terms of campaign moves and battle has really occurred. Just to lead off, to get it out of the way, let's see how we are doing with things like finances and projects and policies. The first thing people may notice up here is that we're back down to BB+, which is getting a little worrisome. And I think that probably has... To be honest, I don't know why we have dropped back down to BB+, because I have not spent a whole ton of money recently. I did create these recruiting commands in all the states, but I just did a small horse artillery battery in each of them just to ensure that they stayed on the map. And those things are peanuts. All of them added up together are like 150,000, which isn't much. I suppose ship repairs could be part of it. Not sure. But if we look at our budget, the things that I see that keep creeping up and up are Army upkeep and Navy upkeep and supply depots. So I'm kind of thinking maybe need to divest ourselves of maybe a supply depot or two, possibly. And even though I don't have, I know I've got a lot of ships, but most of them are just small, but they add up. So got a lot of ships right now because we've captured a bunch, and then we've got kind of several different blockade clearing fleets going on. I think what needs to happen is let's go ahead and keep on the way we're going. But once we get this blockade cleaned up, I think a lot of these little superfluous ships need to go away. That's my thinking. And then I'm not sure if there's really a big difference in upkeep between, for example, in the fleets, you know, you've got the active ships in a fleet, and then you've got ships in harbor that are not assigned to an active fleet. I don't know if there's a difference in cost between them. But in any case, we're going to keep doing what we're doing with the Navy, but once the blockade is fully cleared and the blockade fleet's eliminated, we're going to get rid of some of these ships. The size of the Army has come up to 124,000. Some of that is... the Army is getting bigger in that we've... Down in the main recruiting command at Atlanta, we furloughed a bunch of Texas brigades in order to grow their size. And they're getting close to coming back. And their size has indeed grown. I think that's a big piece of the Army upkeep coming up as well. So I'm interested in getting a little bit more cavalry. I've said before in the campaign, I'm interested in at some point doing the Regulars Act, which those units are not very big. And there has been some discussion from multiple people about maybe not a full corps, but maybe get a few more troops over here in Missouri to help out Beauregard and Price. Those regular units, the regulars, would be just about the right size for that. You get a few brigades that aren't very large, maybe a battery or two, or a battalion or two of artillery, and a little cav unit. Altogether, it's probably not quite 10,000 men. But they're top experience. They come with a perk slot. They're quality troops. But the bottom line is, I don't know if I can afford them. I don't really want this army upkeep going too much higher than it already is. And, oh, by the way, very interestingly, the Union has about 200,000 men, 75,000 or 80,000 more than we do. And yet, their army upkeep is much, much lower than ours. It's negative numbers, so, it's kind of backwards. This looks like, oh, it's better for us. No, it's not. This is negative 500 million here. This is negative about 200 million. Well, it's not just due to raw manpower, because we're spending 2.5 times on our army, our smaller army, than what the Union is. So it's gotta be it's got to be the weapons quality, right? Like you recruit a brigade, it's got mixed muskets. It has a certain upkeep cost. If you then go and equip it with Springfield rifle muskets or Mississippis or whatever, if you take your 6-pound field guns out and plug in some rifled artillery, it would make, I guess maybe that bumps up the upkeep cost. So you're kind of spending for those weapons twice, maybe? I don't know where to look that up. We have this aggregate number here, but you can't look at a brigade and tell the individual brigade's upkeep cost. You look at them. Let's find one. Like Waitman here. Now it tells us what it would cost to recruit this unit, and it's not that much for him because Waitman is still pretty small, which is a little disappointing because I furloughed this brigade. He was at about 1,000 men, and it only brought him up to 1,300. So that's another thing worth mentioning. We've been talking about furloughs or replenish unit in the recent episodes. And the effect varies. Sometimes the unit just takes on a huge number, right? Those Texas brigades that we're furloughing down in Alabama, they're up around 22, 23, 24,000 men, 2,400 men apiece now, where they started at what, about 700 at best? So they have tripled in size. Meanwhile, though, Waitman, we furloughed him, and he gained about 300 men. And I don't know exactly what governs that either. There were plenty of folks available for him. Anyway, I'm kind of meandering here. Bottom line is, I'd like to get some more cav. I'd like to do the regular act. But I don't want this army upkeep going much higher than it is now. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. That's really all I was getting at. And we've got we're doing some things to help with revenue, maybe some supply depots. We can find a place to save some money here. We'll see. And what we are working on is the Revenue Act, which we still have about a week and 2.5 weeks to go. And I honestly don't know where I'm going to go next. Normally in a campaign, prior to 1.06, I would just, without even really thinking about it much, I'd go to Ag 2, or, King Cotton 2, I'd go to do Industrialization 2. All these do is increase subsidies, and right now, I don't know that I want the subsidy levels on these things increased, because I'm wondering if I can afford the subsidy levels I have. I don't know. I could pop this regular act on, but same thing. I don't know if I can afford these guys, even though they're not very large units. What does this letters of marque do? I don't know if I've ever taken this. Harass enemy naval trade, Union Sea trade, drops, relations with... Okay. That's a possibility. Pop off the Union Sea trade, relations with Europe, I don't care. Doesn't hurt our support. I don't see any particular need to go with Militia Act 3. Other than contract extension, but that's pretty minor. 24-month contracts are doing pretty well for us as it is. Don't want to do war bonds unless I really have to. I'm already going to, when this income tax passes, that's already going to bite into public wealth on its own. And this is kind of I want to keep, I'm not saying I'm never going to use this, but I'm going to kind of keep it as a, last resort emergency. Like if we get down to like B+ and we're right on the verge of having some real problems. It is entirely possible that when Revenue Act is complete, I might not take anything. I might just wait for Chapter 3 and keep working on these, financial policies. That's a real possibility. Let's take a look at projects. Where are we at here? Okay, political projects. Not interested in any of these, which is why I have politics subsidies at 0. Kind of at the same place with econ subsidies. We've got a couple levels of market reform, and I'm not spending money on this either. I am interested in farms, mills, possibly a plantation at some point. We'll take a look at that. I'm happy with farm mech where it is. I'm not going to take any of these projects, but on ag subsidies, I'm looking toward a couple more agricultural buildings. Similar thing with industry subsidy. I'm interested in a couple of factories. Factories produce food, and they also produce some other things which will help out the economy, including private wealth. Diplo subsidies. I'm continuing with trade deals. I'm going to take that now. Military subsidies. Okay, this goes back to what I was saying about the Army upkeep. I've pretty much bought all the weapons I'm going to buy. It is... I just... Matter of fact, I think I overbought weapons. I may have bought more cav carbines and more artillery than I needed. And we're about where we need to be with infantry arms. Got the organization reform. I'm not interested in any Navy stuff. I can't afford the Navy I have long term. I mean, it's money well spent in clearing that blockade. But you know, we're looking toward a future downsizing of the Navy. I don't need to recruit any more troops. Manpower pool is super fine. And that leaves logistics reforms. I'm going to keep military infrastructure, or subsidies rather, going, and at this point I am just looking at getting levels of logistics reforms to bring the Army upkeep number down. Each level of this project further reduce transportation upkeep and supply costs. Which is interesting. We'll have to look whenever we finally get a level or two. So it might bring down Army upkeep and supply depot costs. That's possible. And we see this Army upkeep, and it says soldiers pay. Okay, that makes sense. Provisioning and forage. Well, aren't the provisions and forage coming from the supply depots? So, you know, so if we go fill provisions and forage into a supply depot, isn't that part of this number? And then we got to pay for it again when it actually gets issued to the troops? Is that how this is working? I don't know the answer to those questions. What I am going to do is I'm going to drop some of these subsidies a little bit more. I'm going to keep them. I still want the trade deals and the log reform and all that. I'm going to go ahead and keep military where it is until we get a couple of log reform levels. But I'm going to pare back agriculture just a hair more. Say to about 6. Let's bring industry down to about 8. Let's keep it at 10. I want those factories. I think they help a lot. And let's drop diplomacy down to about 10. Okay, then we'll talk, and then I'll talk a little bit about the supply depots when we get to the theater. All right. At the beginning of the campaign, and I think maybe once or twice since then, I talked about the basic strategy of recruiting volunteer units, but then using drafts, using the CSA's Conscription Act for the units' replacements for attrition and casualties, and growing the units and furloughs and all that sort of thing. The idea being that manpower just goes in there and it does not affect the unit's morale because it's still a volunteer unit. The game doesn't track what the proportion is of draft versus volunteer units. And I think that does work as far as it goes. However, it's still sucking up draft troops out of the manpower pool back in the home state. So if it's not directly affecting the unit's morale per se, but I'm starting to get this is really the first full campaign where I've tried that strategy. It does look to me that drawing those draft troops out of the state may be affecting state support. And the reason I say that is because, let's skip the support. Texas has dropped It's still fairly high. It's not a problem, but it has dropped more than most of the other states in state support. Well, it's not because of any Union occupation, right? There are no Union troops anywhere near Texas. And it's also not because of high casualties, because we've only had one Texas brigade engaged at all in any battles. So it's not, it can't be explained by casualties either. But we've got all of these Texas brigades over here on, well, I mean, technically they're over here because they're on furlough, and they have sucked up a lot of draft troops during that furlough. They started at, a few hundred men, and they're up above 2,000 now, and there's, I think, 6 or 5. Yeah, it's 5 brigades. And Texas happens to be the only state in the Confederacy that has sucked down their manpower in such a way that right now Texas has more volunteer troops available in its manpower pool than it does drafts, because all those drafts have gone into what's going to be the Texas Corps. And that's the only explanation I can come up with for why Texas's support has dropped. Am I sure that's what's happening? No. Am I wondering enough about it that I've done something about it? I have. I have gone and set all the armies back to just the default draft and volunteer replacement. So I haven't switched them all over to volunteers, but I've opened up that. You get the idea. I'm not relying solely on drafts anymore. Which kind of fits into, it's not as if I can recruit a whole bunch of volunteer units right now anyway, because of the budget. Meanwhile, Virginia, just because of campaigns start units, right? You start in summer 61, we start with a lot of Virginia brigades, and because of that, Virginia remains the state that has the most men in uniform. There's 6 or 7 Virginia, just infantry, right? There's also artillery, and there's some cav too, right? So you throw those in, and there's probably 10 or 11 units in the Army of Northern Virginia that went quite a while without fighting before this last battle, and have grown a lot in size, and they have sucked up a bunch of draft troops as well. So maybe that is, I've been thinking, well, it's because of Grafton and Wheeling up here, and it probably is. But in addition, it could also be draft manpower that has been sucking down Virginia state support, which is now down into the mid-50s. Anyway, so I did that. I've shifted all the armies back to draft and volunteer replacement policy. So the earlier idea that it's not affecting the morale of the units, I think that's true. But the state support bit is affecting those units' fighting spirit, which is their morale cap. Which leads into one of the other things that I've done off camera is, Kentucky's at 10%. And I found that I actually had some Kentucky brigades out there. They were wavering in the last battle. We've had problems with artillery units over here. One artillery unit that was from Kentucky. And I had recruited a few brigades just to go to the armies and replace those units, and once they arrive I would disband them. Those units have been sent down. I think they still have a few days to arrive. So here in the near future we are going to drop a few thousand men when I disband some Kentucky brigades, so that'll help maybe a little bit with the army upkeep. Okay. And then finally, our situation here. We'll start with Navy. So we've had some success clearing the blockade. The Gulf is currently blockade free entirely. But those blockade fleets are not gone. They're simply not blockading at the moment. They're repairing ships, readiness is low, whatever. But that doesn't mean that they won't ever blockade again. So I'm just keeping an eye on them. We're repairing the Gulf Squadron here. That's going to take a while. They did get pretty beat up. But at some point, this squadron is going to come back over here and hit this Gulf Blockade Squadron again. Hopefully they don't blockade before that happens. This blockade fleet, we attacked and got them to stop blockading quite a while ago, and they have not started blockading again. They've gone into raid mode, which is silly, but here they sit, and they're pretty much recovered. There's 15 ships with 213 guns again. Only one ship disabled. The good news is they're not blockading. But this is something I want to clear. And our other force in the Gulf for doing that is CSS Virginia, which successfully cleared the blockade here on the Florida Gulf Coast. But she's over here repairing as well. I think at 80, in the low 80s, 83%. That'll take a little while, but whenever she is ready to go again, I'm going to steam her over here, and I'm just going to have her pitch right into this fleet. This time by herself. In the last battle, basically, we came in here. I had a bunch of cannon fodder ships, just brigs. And just to kind of draw some fire, and they all got beat up. And the battle wasn't going well. However, even after all the brigs were essentially eliminated or disabled, Virginia just kept chugging along and finally wore that fleet down and sent them off. So this time, I am curious to see, without escorts, can CSS Virginia really... I mean, she was essentially by herself before. She just had kind of a screen. This time I'm going to send her without the screen, completely by herself, and see how she does. That may be a while because it's an ironclad. She's going to repair fairly slow, I think. On the Atlantic coast, we have one blockading squadron, meaning one squadron that's actually blockading. And we are just about to the point where I think our battle squadron, which is much reduced, they did get a lot of damaged frigates here, fighting this squadron, which is not currently blockading. So we've only got 3 frigates in here instead of 8, and then I've kind of plussed it up with some more surplus brigs. So this is going to be a weaker force that I bring down here to attack this squadron. And because of that, I think I do want a preliminary raid on this squadron first. And so I've temporarily assigned a bunch of steamers to Scout Ron 2 that still have several days before about 2 weeks before they get here. So I'm going to raid with this force first. And then I'm going to bring the battle squadron down to attack. And they should be a little deteriorated when they do so. Now, I'm not going to eliminate this fleet yet because this fleet is not blockading and this one is. Let's clear all the blockaded ports first. And then we can kind of clean up these fleets more leisurely once the ports are clear. Okay, so that's kind of the outlook for naval for the foreseeable future. Some of that may take a few episodes to actually occur. All right. In the theaters, okay, over here in the Mississippi, Trans-Mississippi in Missouri. So we've got this situation where we've got several supply depots and Price's Corps under Beauregard's Army Command. I've been kind of bouncing him back and forth. There's plenty of stuff in these depots, but I'm bouncing him back and forth trying to suck up all the artillery ammo. And I think what I'm going to do is... yeah. So there's other stuff in here, which is good. But there's no more artillery ammo. He's basically sucked it dry for that. And as soon as I move him away, this depot is going to fall back under Union control. So now that it's 0 on artillery ammo, I'm going to abandon it. And then what that should do is it won't be here for the Union when they come back down, and they will. And meanwhile, this other stuff, the artillery, the forage, horses, provisions, small arms ammo, uniforms, weapons, not all of it, but some of this should be recovered and re-enter our economy and maybe help populate the other depots. So I'm going to abandon this depot. Well, I guess maybe time... there it goes, I guess. There we go. And now I'm going to move Price back down to somewhere down here because we've got just a few more arty ammo that have appeared in this Springfield depot. See, he's still only at 68% supply. And someone had a pretty interesting idea that I'd never thought of. The idea was down here at Fort Smith, where there's plenty of artillery ammo. What happens if we create some more artillery battalions, shift them up to Price, and then shift the empty battalions back down to we actually have a recruiting command here, right? And just cycle artillery battalions. Do they carry their ammo with them? Will that help? I suspect in the game mechanics it probably doesn't. However, I've never tried it. I think it's a good idea. And in fact, yeah, I had transferred a couple more battalions to him anyway for other reasons. And they've arrived recently. The percentage that he came up could have been from supply, could have been because of the arrival of these battalions. I don't know. And at some point I may try to design something that kind of answers that question a little bit more conclusively. It was a good idea. So that's what's going on in Missouri, and all these armies are still up here. They're going to come back. Anyway, just trying to find arty ammo for Price. Nothing much has really occurred in Tennessee, nor do I have plans for anything to occur much in Tennessee. But Joe Johnston's 2nd Corps is getting pretty close. Down here in the recruiting command. Where's Bragg? No, it won't Bragg. There you go. These are the furloughed Texas units, and they've only got 2 weeks left. Probably need to rename them all. They still have their garrison names. And I had a brigade left over because I had miscounted how many Kentucky brigades needed replenishment, or replacement rather. So we've got 7 infantry brigades, 7 artillery battalions, and some cav. 1 brigade of cav here. They're not all Texas, like the Alabama or South Carolina artillery, some Texas artillery. Iverson is South Carolina infantry. But these units will all combine to form the 2nd Corps for the Army of Tennessee. Once they get up there, we're going to start beating them with some Yankees in Kentucky. This cavalry brigade is not going to be part of that group. I'm recruiting this one for a separate reason. This is North Carolina Cav, mainly because I didn't want to recruit any more in Virginia, but it's under the command of Fitzhugh Lee, and this Cav is going to the Army of Northern Virginia. Why am I doing that? Because my idea is, and I haven't tried this before, where is the Army of Northern? Okay. They seem to be out of order. Right now, we have 1 Cav brigade per corps. And I like for at least the initial corps that first comes onto the field that might be by itself. I like for it to have 2 Cav brigades so that I can kind of search in different, scout in different directions, and then have a Cav brigade kind of on either flank. I think that works better rather than, you only have the 1 Cav brigade and it goes out and maybe scouting in the wrong spot. It can't cover both flanks immediately. But rather than go and put 2 in every single corps, whenever a tactical battle is initiated, I have consistently seen over and over that even if the Army HQ is shown as a reinforcing force with some length of time before it shows up, that's not what actually happens. The Army commander, I have found, is always there right at the start with the 1st Corps, meaning the 1st Corps that makes contacts. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to take that Cav brigade and make not a different corps, but a separate division directly under Lee as part of his Army HQ. And that way, when a battle starts, I've got the 2 brigades, one from the corps, and then Lee's got a cavalry brigade working for him, with a division commander. Now the fact that Lee's HQ will then have troops of its own might mean that that kind of automatic appearance thing in tactical battles stops happening. I don't know. It's just something I'm going to try, see how that works out. Speaking of Virginia, in this theater, we just fought this battle. And so we're kind of back to, well, they're low on artillery ammo. Our main supply depot, our Tier 2 depot, it's empty. This one here has gone back Union control, but it's empty too. However, the Harper's Ferry has got some in it. Not a whole lot, but it's got some. And it's Jackson's 2nd Corps that is lowest. The other guys have some artillery ammo, but it's Jackson's Corps, his artillery did the bulk of the work in the battle just fought. So I am going to zip Jackson's Corps over here just far enough where he can draw from this supply depot and get that artillery ammo. Put him on the train. I only want him over there just long enough to do that, and then I'm going to bring him right back. And then, meanwhile, well, I want to move up so close I precipitate another battle. You know, this is a Union IP right here. This is, I mean, McDowell had to retreat hardly any distance. He just had to step back like 3 yards. And he was already at his retreat destination. So I don't know if I can grab that supply depot now. I'd like to, so I can burn that one down too. Let me see if I can sneak Magruder's Corps up here just close enough to do that without starting a fight. See how that works out? Okay, so that is what is going on in this campaign. And I made mention of it, but we got all our carbines for the Cav. We got rifled artillery. And basically every Cav unit on the map now has got Jocelyn, Maynard, or Merrill carbines. No more Springfield musketoons. No more mixed Cav weapons. And all the armies also have a division's worth of 3, or in some cases 4 battalions equipped with either wired 6-pound wireds or 3-inch ordnance rifled artillery. And in fact, I had quite a few left over. That's what I was saying when I said I may have overbought on those. Nah, Magruder's not going to be able to get control of that supply depot. That sucks. Yeah, Jackson is starting to get some artillery ammo from this depot, and he has sucked it dry. Let's just pop him right on the other side of the Blue Ridge. Because he may not be able to reinforce from there. This mountain range and river, I think, kind of blocks reinforcement, even though it would be well within Lee's command radius. It doesn't quite work consistently in the Shenandoah area. See, he's still only at 24% artillery ammo. Longstreet's okay for ammo, 89%, and I think Magruder is too. Yeah, 98%. So if they get in a fight, it's not like we're not going to have any arty ammo. The other 2 corps are in good shape for that. Just Jackson's arty won't have much. See any movement here? Kentucky Theater. None here. %. Good. I wonder if I just marched Price straight down to Fort. He wouldn't have to go all the way to Fort Smith. He could come to here. Probably, if he just came to Fayetteville, he'd be within range and just, you know, get arty ammo and then just run back up. I wonder how fast the Union armies would take advantage of that. I bet he could get away with it. He's at 75% now. 76%. Oh, he's got another perk too. Flying column. How about Beauregard? He's getting there on his first perk. Kirby Smith's Corps getting close on their second perk. Joe Johnson, not much progress on his. That's an updated spotting report. West Virginia militia is continuing. Looks like they're moving north, I guess. They were here, and now they've moved a little bit. Jackson. All 3 perks. Ambulance Corps, Flying Column, and Pontoon Train are my 3 core level perks that I'm doing with everybody. Longstreet's closest to, or close to getting his 3rd perk slot. And Lee's actually close to opening his 1st. I think for the Army HQ, I'm actually going to go with embedded reporters to improve the fame gain among all the commanders in the Army. Second engineers, they're coming. There's only the one artillery, horse artillery unit in this quote corps unquote. And they routed because they're Maryland artillery. What is this? Who got defamed? Oh, that was yeah, Lomax. Well, he's rehabilitated. Historical flavor election coming up in November. In any case, you know, I kept these units because the other one had the engineer perk, but Abert is not. I'm kind of wondering if I should just get rid of them. It is a core level command, though, that is most of the way to a perk slot. So I guess I'll keep it. What I could do is, what I would like to do eventually, I don't know if finances will allow, is create a separate cavalry corps here. Under Jeb Stewart. And I could convert this core level command into that, and with most of his first perk slot unlocked. I just don't have the cav brigades to do that now, and you know, here we go again, broken record. I'm not sure I can really afford them at the moment. Alright, let's check out our see how much longer we have on this, on these fleets down here. Aha! Okay, they're all here now. So let me get let's get the battle squadron. 3 frigates, quite a few brigs. They're all at a the frigates are in the 90s, mid 90s, high 90s. All the brigs are good to go. Let's go ahead and bring them on down. Now I don't want to engage this guy, so first I'm just going to bring him out here. Because this guy isn't hurting anything at the moment. French stuff in Indochina, no concern to us. Now, about a century from now, it's going to be a concern. Okay. And I don't want him actually getting pulled into this battle. That should be fine. He's fine where he is. Let's get this other scouty ship kind of out of the way. I don't want them pulled in. It's just a gunboat. That ought to be far enough. Why are you not moving? He's disabled for some reason. Why are you moving to Fleet Scout Run 19 ETA 0 days? Well, he had to be there. Okay, he can't move at the moment. Fantastic. Let's get Scout Run 3 out of the way too. Well, if there's not a ship actually here, I guess it doesn't matter, does it? So, let's take Scout Run 2, put him on offensive and raid mode, and I think he's just going to automatically go engage. There he goes. Okay. So they're coming in. They're trying to go for these small ones, kind of defray their fleet a little bit here. The John Hancock, Union, Mohawk, Daylight. Those are the targets. We'll see how that works out. Yep, Dawn disabled. So they're going to capture this ship, right? Because it's disabled? But that in turn will degrade the readiness of that fleet. Because I don't know if the AI removes captured ships to keep their readiness up the way a player will or should. Yeah, these little bitty ships are getting wrecked. As expected. Come on, Roanoke, do some more damage before you bugger off. Yeah, I don't know how much good they're doing here. Okay, that's over with. Condition of the enemy fleet still good, which is not intact. 6 sunk. Baltimore and Tampa, 2 captured. Okay, now yeah, I don't know if we made that much headway there. That may have been not very helpful. Alright, Battle Squadron. At the very least, maybe they'll be low on ammo. Apparently we just issued more bonds. Boo. Okay. Revenue Act. Okay, it's not projecting an amount yet. I guess we're going to have to wait a month. Well, I guess we're going to have to wait a little bit for time to advance. We'll come back to that after the naval battle. Okay, starting in our favor, purportedly. We'll see what happens when ships start sinking. Yeah, we really didn't do much to that fleet. That raid thing didn't work out. Brigs are starting to get smacked. Yeah. But see, there's that disabled ship. That was ours. Ooh, we're starting to pop them pretty good. It's a steam sloop that's disabled. Potomac low on ammo. It's a frigate. Raleigh's getting beat up. I think we're going to do enough to force them to stop blockading, at least. Savannah, their other frigate, low on ammo. 37% too. Okay. So that's good. 3 ships sunk, 3 captured. You know, both fleets are pretty beat up though. So let's see now, do we get this like continuously recurring battle thing going on? Nope, looks like they retreated somewhere. Ah! They disintegrated! Nice! That's what we want. And that means that momentarily Charleston and Savannah will not be blockaded anymore. That's a bonus. We actually got rid of the fleet entirely. I think that's the wrong one. Battle Squadron. Can you get into port? Maybe not. No, there he goes. Well, that's a good outcome. Okay, let's take all these. Dawn goes into the pool. Mohican into the pool. The ones that are above 80%, I'm leaving them in here. They'll repair pretty quick. Actually, they probably all would have, even the low ones, probably would have repaired before the frigates did. Because Raleigh's down to 59%. Yeah, let's just go ahead and we'll keep Clarence in. We're just going to put these other frigates into the harbor pool. And what's actually our highest frigates remaining? CSS Galveston at 91%. Okay. Well, nice job there. I think the blockade is completely cleared now. Yeah, no ports under blockade. Nice job, Sims. And I guess Scout Ron 2. Here, just go into whatever this is. Port Royal. Uh-oh. What do we got here? We have... They're back. Army of the Mississippi, Army of Southwest Missouri, and Army of Indiana. A significantly smaller Army of Indiana. And a much smaller Army of the Mississippi. They're back, this time under the command of George McCall. Morrell wanted no more to do with us. And so what do they got? They've got about 37,000 men, though. To our about 22,000 under Beauregard. We got more guns, though, and this time, not only do we have pretty good artillery situation, but now some of these guys are rifled artillery. But I believe that will have to wait for the next episode. Hope you've enjoyed the video. I know I talked a lot at the beginning, but just to cover all the things that are kind of going on with managing the economy, managing the armies. So I hope that was interesting. And we'll have the, 156th Battle of Springfield, Missouri next time around. If you like what we're doing with the channel, if you like the content, then leave a like. Leave a comment. Maybe even subscribe. If you're new to the channel, new to the series, want to catch up on what's been going on in this campaign up till now, I'm going to link a playlist here. At any rate, thank you very, very much for watching. I appreciate it. I really do.